I quietly hustled trays and bus tubs from the surrounding shelves and ran them to the dish pit. Refolded my shirt and apron and put them away. Tidied up the bar, smashed the Cuervo bottle in a plastic bag and buried it under burnt refried beans in the kitchen trash. Put Ramon's tips in my pocket. Removed an unopened bottle of Jack Daniels from the top shelf of the bar and crept past Jenny like a shoemaker's elf as her raspy breathing approached the dragging roar of a cartoon snore. Patted my pockets to ensure I had everything before throwing the breakers on. A morning meadow chorus of beeps and chirps filled the restaurant as I pulled the kitchen door shut behind me. Blackouts are funny. The hours you can't track do not necessarily correlate to your peak period of intoxication. I've had blackouts run in both directions on my timeline, erasing parts of the day that occurred before I started drinking. Remember musical chairs in grade school? Do they still do that, or is it considered cruel? Well, sometimes the needle comes off the record and your brain is left standing there without a place to sit. When the power comes back on, it's not like Snow White waking up from a poison apple nap. It's an abrupt and disturbing restoration of basic systems after a hard reboot, a running start from zero as you try to remember your prime directives and return to your mission. Kyle Reese sent from the future back to a filthy 80s LA alleyway, naked and groggy without so much as a dime set aside in the crack of his ass to fund his hunt for Sarah Connor. Many drinkers who black out are overcome with a fear that the missing hours they can't recall were spent behaving like a lunatic, but that's rarely the case. If you started your night with a couple of drinks while sorting your stamp collection or watching PBS, chances are good you stayed that course after your memory decided to quit taking notes, closed up shop, and hung that little sign in the window that reads "Gone Fishing." I had to go to counseling once, that's a story for another time, but the counselor I met with was very keen to hear about my blackouts. He did his best to impress upon me that this symptom of my drinking was truly significant, troubling to the point of being dangerous, yet somehow special. A rare white rhino on the wild savanna of alcoholism. He told me about a client who went to Hawaii for 1 week. The plane left Portland, and when it leveled off, the man had his first drink. The needle didn't drop back onto his record until he was flying home. An entire week of his life had been erased. A 7-day jump cut directed by tiny spark plug-sized bottles of airline liquor. Like me, this man was not a committed daily drinker but an impulsive and mercenary binger. It stood to reason he hadn't been on a rampage or in a dead drunk stupor the entire time he was in Hawaii. When he got home, he checked his luggage. No blood-stained clothing. Souvenirs he didn't recall buying. He reviewed his credit card statements and pored over his hotel bill. No exorbitant room service charges. No cab rides home from strip clubs at 4 a.m. No massive cash advances. No escorts coming to his room, charged to a Visa account cloaked under the name of a 24-hour tow company run from a P.O. box. He got tested for every sexually transmitted disease and came up clean. He even contacted the police to see if he'd been arrested in the Aloha state. Nothing. There was every indication he had peacefully enjoyed himself, been a perfect gentleman as he walked on the beach, ate great food, and saw some bitchin' sunsets, but the alcohol he drank bored a wormhole between 2 in-flight happy hours and opened a rift in his personal space-time fabric that swallowed an entire week. It spooked him so bad he got on the wagon and stayed put, and good for him. That story didn't scare me at the time. Sometimes I wish it had, but when you're 16, there's not much anybody can tell you.